So Brandon Sanderson recently announced that he's bringing on a co-author for a lot of his Cosmere books. And I just wanted to talk about this because I haven't seen anybody in the BookTube community going over this topic. I don't know if it just bypassed people or if I'm the only one that thinks this is a big deal, but I think this is horrific. So real quick, I cut up a little clip that shows him talking about it straight from the horse's mouth. It's about 50 seconds long. I'm going to play that right now, and then we're going to break this down.
The whole Brandon Sanderson thing has gotten kind of big.
Yes, it is.
And I was talking to my team, and I'm like, I need help with the narrative side of this. I need another brain. But the goal will eventually be to have Dan just kind of help me work on the Cosmere and things like this. Like, I need another writing brain. And I need somebody who can write stories that I can't, was another thing. And stuff like that. And I've been thinking for a while, I'm like, I need another me.
Absolutely.
Like, I need help to manage the whole thing. Not just the books, but, you know, the entire series. And I'm like, well, Dan's the best writer I know. Maybe I should ask Dan. Dan is coming on Monday as the Vice President of Narrative at Dragonsteel.
Yeah. So that is going to entail writing a bunch of books. There'll be a bunch of co-written Dan and Brandon Cosmere books.
All right, so there's a lot here to talk about. Let's start with one of the phrases that I thought was really important, and that's, I need another me. So this is very concerning to me. This looks like somebody who's overworked and needs help, that somebody who's spreading themselves way too thin. And what I'm concerned about here is that we're going down like the Marvel route, where the goal is going to be to pump out book after book after book with maybe a hit to the quality of the books that we're going to start getting. And that's a problem to me. You know, I worry that bringing in another author is going to lose a lot of that Brandon Sanderson charm. And I kind of want to say that I saw this coming a little bit, or at least I was worried that this would happen. You know, I was excited like everybody when he announced that he had these 4 secret books that got written. But that looked to me like somebody who's really pushing too much out, and the expectations on him is going to be too high. I mean, he's been hiring like crazy for his company, Dragonsteel. I'm sure they come with a huge payroll, and people are depending on him to keep churning out the quantity that he's doing. And now, I know that Brandon Sanderson's like a freak of nature, and he can pump these things out, but all of a sudden, what becomes an extraordinary thing that he was able to do now becomes the norm. And with the movie getting announced of Mistborn, you know, he's going to be stretched very thin. And so I'm super worried about this. You know, I heard a quote recently from somebody who talked to him at a recent con that mentioned that his publishers were like breathing down his neck about getting his current projects out. And this all spells a lot of problems for me. So I want to go over another quote of his that was also very concerning. And this is, Dan's the best writer that I know. Really? So I don't even know this Dan guy. I started looking him up as soon as I found out this announcement. And what I saw was a writer who had 2 series on Goodreads, and they're both in the high 3s, low 4s. And if you know anything about Goodreads, that might sound high, like, oh, a 4 out of 5 is good. It's not. Most people are biased towards giving very high scores. A 4.5 would be a very good book. A 4 is not very good. And a 3.5, I don't think I've ever seen a mainstream book even get that low. So hovering around the 4 is not great. The average score for the books that I typically read, and I'm sure that you typically read, are in that like 4.3 to 4.6 range. So to have something that's in the 3s is super not great. Then you look at what kind of books he's written. So one of the series is called Partial Sequence. And this is a young adult science fiction dystopian series. That doesn't sound like anything like the Cosmere. The next one is the series called John Cleave. And this is a young adult horror thriller. So another thing that is not at all involving the Cosmere. And so what's going on here? Why is he bringing on this author who does not write fantasy, who doesn't write more adult-oriented things? And I get Brandon Sanderson kind of does, out of the adult fantasy writers, he's probably the most young adult out of the group. But to bring on somebody that's going to help him write, that exclusively writes young adult and genres that aren't what the Cosmere is, That's surprising to me, and I'm just calling a big BS on the fact that he's the best writer that he knows. I think he's his friend. I think he's hiring a friend of his that he wants to help out, which is cool. I think supporting your friends is good, but yeah, I don't buy that in the slightest. The last thing I want to talk about is the most concerning quote, and it's the one that says, there will be a bunch of co-written Dan and Brandon Cosmere books. So this isn't just side books that this Dan guy is going to come in and help write. This is Cosmere books. And what does this mean? Is this the main stories? Is he going to be helping out writing Stormlight? Is he going to be helping out writing Mistborn? Or are they just branching off and doing other things? So yeah, very concerned that the quality is going to be diminishing here. I can't imagine that this is going to increase the quality of these books. So yeah, I hate to be a pessimist on this, but I see this all as a bad thing. Now, the only upside I'll say is that I have been critical in the past of Brandon Sanderson's writing quality. I love Brandon Sanderson. He's one of my top favorite authors. Stormlight Archive is a top 5 favorite series for me, and Mistborn is like a top 10. So I'm a big Brandon Sanderson fan, but what I like about him is the fact that he can build out these stories. He plans them well ahead of time, so they're structured really well. I think the plots are amazing, the world building's awesome, the magic systems are great, but the writing quality, not incredible. The characters, they're good, not incredible. So if he was able to write like the infrastructure for a book and bring in like a really, really quality writer to solve the deficiencies that he has, I think that'd be great. Is Dan this guy? I mean, based on what I'm reading, no, definitely not. If he was to write like a structure and have like a Joe Abercrombie come in, that would be awesome. That's like all I would envision out of an amazing book. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think we're getting a young adult author, and I think we're moving in the wrong direction for what Brandon Sanderson is good at. So let me know your thoughts. Am I totally off base? Let me know. I'd love to hear it. And as always, happy reading to you.